Third down and 20.
What is going on? Welcome back. Episode 49, the Big 4-9 to 3rd and 20 podcast. We have a special guest, Mr. Dan Likowski of 4K Sports. What is going on, Dan? How you doing?
We're doing great. We're looking for some NFL insight for the upcoming season.
Yep, well, topics on the screen. We got Mr. Steed here, and obviously myself. We're doing AFC North over-unders to start, and we are starting with my Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers season over-under is currently at 8.5 total wins in a 17-game season, down an entire game from last year when they had 12 wins last year, and now now we're at 8.5. What the hell happened last night?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to say, but I mean, you just want me to jump in and give you what I think?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Why don't you just kick it off?
I actually like the Steelers a lot. I'm going to take the over. Of course, y'all started off, 11-0 last year?
Yeah, 11-0, and then it just went to shit.
Yeah, but big reason why is you lost Bush, you lost your linebacker, you lost some other pieces, and the offense really could never get going. It seemed like you would either have drop passes or a non-existent running game. I think now with Deontay Johnson, because I still think he is hasn't reached his full potential yet, could really break out this year if he doesn't drop the pass. You also get Juju back. That's another weapon. And Big Ben, coming off the injury from previous year, gets a full year under his belt now and a regular offseason. I kind of like him to max out on that. Plus, you get Najee in the draft, who, I think one of the better backs in this year's draft. Obviously, he was number 1 or number 2 for me, but just also being a threat in the passing game, I think that's also huge for Ben, utilizing the running back in the passing game. And I'm not finding your defense to really drop off a step here. You still got playmakers all over the field, and Mika, TJ Watt. Yeah, you lost Bud Dupree, but I think he's easily replaceable. So I'm taking the Steelers to, have a winning record this year. I think he's kind of asinine.
How many wins are you putting him at? How many wins are you thinking?
I would give him 10. I 10-7 or 11-6. That's where I see him.
What's the confidence meter at?
I got him at a 7 right there. That's a 7.
7 out of 10?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got a lot to say on this Steelers team. So, first things first, let's start with the defense, which is the real top-tier side of the ball. You have the 2 major losses, and like you said, Bud Dupree and Steven Nelson, which was a big loss at that second corner spot, which wasn't really addressed that much as of right now. Those are looking like the 2 major problem spots. But with that being said, we are betting on the Steelers under Mike Tomlin having the first losing record under Mike Tomlin the entire time. His entire tenure, we are betting on the Steelers having a losing record. I am smashing this over. I am smashing the over so hard, especially with a 17-game season. I'm a little surprised that it's not at 9.5. The fact that it went down a game from last year after what they showed in that beginning of the season. Now you add Najee Harris, a legitimate running back that the Steelers desperately needed, on top of the Muth. They add the Muth and Najee Harris to that offense. Yeah. Lost a couple guys on defense, but we kept Tyson Alwal around, which is a huge, huge get back for the defensive side of the ball. You get some of these guys healthy. I am huge on the Steelers over 8.5. For the confidence level, Mr. Dan, it is like a 9.9. 9.9 confidence level.
How does the schedule look, though? Difficulty.
It's a brutal schedule. It is honestly
tough.
Super, super tough schedule. But I don't really care, to be honest. I don't really care. This is a team that, honestly, I might be more worried about having a worse schedule because classic Steelers just playing down to their competition all the time. This is a team that I just think is too good to not get 9 wins in a 17-game season. 9.5 I could understand, and I think that would be the more true line for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. 8.5, I think, is a good, at least one game too low. I don't think that they're 2 games worse than the Ravens and the Browns, which are the other 2 major teams in this division right now.
It's interesting. The public's actually on the under, believe it or not. Which is,
Dude,
I
there's
guess,
a lot of Steelers shade going around right now. I don't really understand it. No one believes in the Steelers. They think we're frauds.
That might have to do with just like
the schedule
know,
difficulty.
the schedule difficulty, Ben being old. I can see that playing a factor too. And I mean, didn't y'all lost Pouncey, right? You lost your center.
Yeah,
Am I correct about that?
we lost Pouncey, we lost Villanueva. Offensive line is definitely a problem spot, but I'm not going to act like it wasn't a huge problem spot last year. And losing Pouncey, like Pouncey towards the second half of the season last year was a shell of his former self. Like,
Yeah, he was.
I don't really think losing him is a huge deal. And same thing with losing Villanueva. Like, beginning of the season, Villanueva was great. But by the end of the year, our 2 starting tackles, Chuck Sikorafor and Villanueva, couldn't stop a nosebleed. Dude, we made the Bengals pass rushers look like Khalil Mack late in the season, and that was one of the teams that had some of the lowest pass rush totals all of last year. I don't really think it's a huge issue. And we get Zach Banner back, who looked all right. Added a couple nice offensive linemen, Green, a center in the draft, who's going to be starting day 1 probably. I can understand the concerns, but I think that the concerns are a little too priced in for how good the team actually is. It's like we're so focused on a couple of the minor holes and not looking at, okay, well, we still have a top 3 pass rusher in the league on defense, still have a top safety, rest of the defensive line is still pretty good. Freaking Devin Bush is still a top linebacker, at least in my opinion. Still got Hayden. Edmonds is finally starting to put it together, it looks like. So I think that the concerns are being a little too heavily priced in, especially when we're comparing them to the Browns and the Ravens. I understand the Browns and the Ravens are good. They might look pretty good. But are we really saying that the Steelers are a 2-game worse team than those teams? I'm not really buying that.
Yeah, well, we know this division is going to be tight, right? Other than the NFC West, I mean, you can make an argument with this division being the best of football, and you're going to find those 3 teams like fighting for that, 12-win spot all year. It's just a matter of fact of who gets there first. For me.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Dan, you want to add anything? Your thoughts on the Steelers? What they're looking like right now with their over/under?
Dude, I'm just here to listen. I'm just here to listen and take notes. Just keep it rolling.
All right, Steed, who do you want to go to next? Let's go to your team. Your team in this division, because you're basically, ever since the podcast has become a thing, you have been the biggest supporter of the Browns, saying last year, hey, they're a playoff team. Took the over last year. Steed actually went 4-0 on this division last year. So the Browns, with the biggest jump in win total from last year, this year, last year was 8.5. We were up to 10.5, 2 full games above their over/under last year. 17-game season, a little bit more of a favorable schedule, I would say, than the Steelers and like the Ravens in this division. Steed, what are you thinking? 10.5 over/under.
This is probably the one I'm most confident in this division. I'm hammering the over for the Browns. I love this Browns team. I've said it before. I think they got a great coaching staff. Stefanski's an absolute monster. Been the perfect hire for them. The offense doesn't change. Everyone's coming back. It's just more experience on the offensive end. And the question has just been, can they fill in the defense? Well, they did that this offseason. Free agency, they get their safety, John Johnson from the Rams, and now you go in the draft, you get a corner to go alongside Denzel Ward, one of my favorite corners in the draft, and Newsome. And then really a glaring hole next after they signed Clowney to go alongside of Myles Garrett was they needed a linebacker, and they got Owosu Koromoa to fall in their lap in the second round. And I just feel like now this defense with the pieces they have acquired now can really take that extra step and become a top 10 defense along with that electric running game with a 2-headed monster in Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt. They can control the time of clock. They have 3 tight end sets that will just confuse teams. Baker, you saw the progression from all last year. He's legit. He can play this league. Now, is he going to be Patrick Mahomes good, Aaron Rodgers good? No, but he is capable of taking this team to the next level, in which I do. This is my team. I'm favorite to win the division. Overs at 10.5. I got them locked in more as a 12 to 13 win team. Easy for me after looking at the schedule. And they start off rough with the Chiefs, but I would kind of like them in that game. They played them tough in the playoffs. And with now more of an experienced team, I think they match up fine with them. And after that, there's a good shot this team could start 5-2, 6-1. You look at that run. They play the Ravens back to back twice, like back to back. And in between those games, they get a bye week, so they get extra preparation in that game. So confidence level on this, it's a 9.6 for me. 9.6, lock it in for the Browns. I love this team. I think this team is ready to take the next step.
Dude, like I kind of was coming into this one to take the under, but when you look at this team's roster, it is ridiculous. And like not only the draft picks that they added, they picked up Malik Jackson from Philly,
Yeah.
a D tackle that I thought played really well for that squad last year. They got Tack McKinley,
Yeah, you
so
got McKinley
just to
as a
be a
rotational
rotational
piece.
pass rusher.
And you also get Odell back.
Yeah, you do get Odell back. I was gonna go with I'm gonna hit the over. Actually, I think I'm gonna join you. I'm nowhere near
Let's
as
go.
confident as you are, but oh my god, I like the Browns, Ravens, and Steelers. I think are all just really, really good teams. I think every
Yeah.
single one of these teams is just really legit and would be up in a division favorite in about every other division in football. So I think I'm actually going to join you there. They just don't have a hole. There's really not a big hole. Even at linebacker without Owusu Koromos, Taki last year, Sion Taki was pretty good for them and was playing at a
Mhm.
pretty legit level. Um, Anthony Walker's still there. And then, like you said, you just add to the secondary. You get Delpit back. You still have Greedy Williams. This is just a pretty loaded roster. And they picked up
And
Troy Hill as well as like a
yeah.
nickel corner from the Rams.
What I also
I'm going to take the over.
Well, what I also like about the defense last year is they weren't a stout defense by any means, but they always figure out a way to create a turnover and they would get points off those turnovers. Now that they have kind of like that complete defense, if they're able to continue to create turnovers, that'll just take this team at like new heights for me.
Well, yeah, and like their offense was good last year. Their offense was
It's very
really good.
efficient.
Aside from week 1 and then those two, I guess that also that week against Pittsburgh somewhat
Yeah.
early in the season when they got rocked. But the only other 2 games where they did not have offensive production against the Raiders where they lost 16-6 and in a 10-7 win against the Texans, it was like ridiculous conditions. It was like 30 plus mile an hour winds where you just can't run the ball or not run the ball. You can't throw the ball at all.
Mm.
Oh man, this team looks good. I'm just not as confident as you. I'm still not completely bought in to the Browns, but their roster is too good to not say, hey, this team could go 11-6.
How do you think this extra game plays into like the over-unders?
I hate it, to be honest. I
Yeah,
hate it a lot.
it throws me off a little bit, because like you see like a line 8.5 in my head or like a 10.5 line, like I'm thinking 16 game season, but then you got to think, oh well, you got an extra game to cover that. It's like, and then you got to look at who they get for that extra game too. And it's like, does that match up well for them? So like, I'm definitely not a fan of it from the over under perspective. From just
So
getting another game, yeah.
the reason why I think it really has an impact is that in the 16 game season, you always have 6 games in your division. So your division games, if you're in a tough division, it's just hard for all those teams to hit the overs. And like, last year only the NFC West had 3 teams hit the over. Most divisions, like a lot of them had only 1 team hit the over. There'd be like 1 push, 2 unders, and 1 over. But now with that 17th game season, you just add a little bit less pressure, not necessarily in the division games for the teams, but for the over-unders. The division game, there's just less a percentage of division games than there ever have been before. So I think that that's a little bit hard to take into account. And it's actually one of the big reasons why I just said, I'm going to say fuck it and take the over on the Browns, Ravens, and Steelers, just because if these teams just split games in these division games with that extra game outside of the division, if I think these teams are all playoff caliber teams, I think they can pick up all these wins, just start scooping them up in these out of conference and even in conference games.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to say on the Browns? Dan, you got any thoughts on the Browns? Are you a Browns believer?
I wasn't until last year, dude. Last year they surprised me, bro. I remember I was watching the Steelers Browns game was wild, bro. I was picking up the Steelers like after every touchdown, bro, when they win that giant hole, bro. And it was just like not enough to cover. It just wasn't enough. Like they just went down. How much did they go down in the beginning of that game?
Oh my god, it was a
Dude,
nightmare.
It was brutal,
like
and I'm thinking I'm getting a steal just picking them up live, dude, with the points, and it's just like, dude, just touchdown after touchdown. I was just like, Jesus, bro. I didn't see that coming, dude. I didn't see that coming at all.
in the Washington football game, or maybe it was the Bengals game. One of the two of those where they went down kind of early, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna bring it back. They're gonna bring it back, and it got close, but then they ended up losing by like at least a touchdown, which then you don't get to cover on the live bet. So not exactly the best team to do it with, but I still believe in the Steelers. I believe in Mike Tomlin. I think that if there's any team that's going to perform having a very difficult schedule, it's them. I mean, this is an 8-8 team with Mason Rudolph at starting quarterback. And it's not like the offensive line was at an elite level that year either. They were still trash. So give me Ben Roethlisberger, just as good of a defense, and now just better offensive weapons. You add Najee Harris and you keep the band together, get a year of development under Claypool. I really and an extra game. Like, I really don't envision a world. Maybe the Steelers get 8 wins. I know we're supposed to move on to the Ravens, back on the Steelers. Maybe the Steelers get 8 wins and you get screwed that way. But I just don't see them getting like under 8 wins. I think there's a much better possibility they're getting 9 than under 9.
How was the schedule last year for the Steelers, though? Was it like easy or was it like solid?
Well, I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the season it was looked at as like pretty medium, but then kind of the way things played out. See, that's the one thing about the schedule that no one wants to talk about, is that teams like the Texans last year, if you were to put them into your schedule strength thing, they would have been a tough game. I mean, that was a playoff team, and they won a playoff game. But then all of a sudden, they went out and sucked ass. Same thing with the Niners at some points in the season. Like, the Niners would have been one of the toughest games, and they went out, had a ton of injuries, and sucked. So
True.
That's just kind of the game you play when you're trying to predict schedules. I'm much more of a let me just bet on good teams instead of trying to play schedules, because you'll never be able to predict the injuries. That's the other thing too, is that the risk with some of these is that if the starting quarterback goes down in any one of these teams, all of a sudden your over under is a little bit toast. But maybe not for the Steelers, though. We saw them go 8-8 with backup quarterbacks. They beat the Browns week 17 with Mason Rudolph starting. So, oh wait, no, I think they lost that game, but it was close.
Yeah, the Browns barely won that game.
All right, let's go on to the Ravens. Ravens over under 10.5, a game lower than last year. I'm going to start. I'm taking the over. I took their over last year, got burnt, but I have to get one less win with an extra game. Even though the division looks really tough, the Ravens always play well in division. And on top of that, they shouldn't get absolutely screwed by COVID like they did for that second Steelers game last year, where their entire team was dead playing on a Wednesday. Weirdest game of all time, by the way.
Yeah, that was a weird game.
You still got a top 5 coach. The roster, you can make an argument the defense is worse. I think the offense is significantly better, even with without Orlando Brown, you had a group last year of receivers that was probably bottom of the league or pretty damn close. And now you add Tylan Wallace, Sammy Watkins, and Rashad Bateman. I can't imagine they'll play worse than they did last year in that position group. I really think that the Ravens are just too strong for me to confidently bet the under. I'm going 3 overs. I know it's a bait. One of these teams will hit the under, but I feel like I'm getting 2 overs out of 3 of these teams. So I'll just hedge, take my 66.6% win percentage, and have a good time.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to disagree with you. It's kind of hard for me because I'm on the fence about this pick, but I took the under with them last year, and I think that line was crazy. It was like, was it like 11 and a half?
11 and a half, yeah. It was a tough one.
Yeah, and like
their schedule is brutal.
It's their schedule for me, and also it's just the other two teams in the division. Like, I'm higher on the Steelers and the Browns than I am on the Ravens. Like, I really can't explain it, but they just don't do it for me. Exactly. They've lost pieces on their defense. Their defense is still going to be all right, still going to be good. You're right with Harbaugh being top 5, but I'm going to have to take the under on this team. I do not. I just think that if we go into the division, I see as the Steelers and the Browns as a better teams as this Ravens team is right now. I know with Lamar Jackson, I mean, he's a crazy player and it's going to keep you in a lot of ball games, but I think this is the year the Ravens kind of take a little backslide. I think their window to win a championship was in the last 2 years, and you're going to kind of see that window close this year. So I'm going to ride with Ravens under, but not confident with it at all. Like, really not.
Yeah, I thought coming into this, I was flip-flopping on the Ravens and Browns a whole lot. These are 2 teams that I am not very confident in their over-under lines. I think 10.5 is pretty damn accurate for them because they have just as much of a chance of hitting 10 wins as they do 13. It almost depends. Are you going to get hot at some point during the season? Are you going to get those injuries? That seems to me to be the separator compared to like the Steelers lines where even with injuries, I could see that team hitting 9 wins. And then obviously without injuries, I feel like they're almost guaranteed the 9 wins. But now we're going to move on to, I can't wait to talk about this team. The last team is the Bengals. The Bengals over-under is actually a game up from last year from 5.5 to 6.5. This is my other like favorite line in this division. And I'm smashing the under for the Bengals. I do not see this team hitting 7 wins. We made a video on the Bengals a while back where the Bengals fans weren't exactly happy with what we were saying. Yeah. All I have to say to you is I got to see it to believe it. Show me the 7 wins. I'll admit if I'm wrong if it's 7 wins, but until then, screw you, Bengals fans. You're not getting 7 wins. Your roster's overrated. You have an average at best defense. Cool, you have some of the flashy players, but you've had flashy players. Joe Mixon's a great running back, but he's only so good when he's getting nailed 3 yards back in the line of scrimmage every play. I think that they have probably the worst coach in the league. If I were to rank all of the coaches, I think he is the one that I would pick very last of all the coaches, right? Even the rookie guys. Yeah, I'm going to have to see it to believe with the Bengals team, tough division. I do not see 7 wins.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just, you got to prove it. And with this team, and with that division, I see them losing all 6 games to the Steelers, the Browns, and the Ravens. I don't see them competing in that category. And then, you got to play the same out of conference, out of division teams as these guys, and I don't see you putting up much of a fight. Like, yeah, I love Joe Burrow. I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he can do it all by himself over here. I understand your weapons at receiver. You just picked up Jamar Chase, but is he going to be able to score 3 touchdowns a game? I don't know. I can't believe that. So I'm with you on this. I think this is an easy under for me as well. Maybe 4 or 5 wins this year for the Bengals.
Yeah, I think that everyone is so concerned about looking into the flashy players that have we forgotten about the Falcons for like the past 3 years? This is a team that
your depth chart now?
They had the quarterback. They had plenty of good receivers, tight ends, an average or below average offensive line and then a average at best defense. And even the Falcons probably have better top end defensive players than the Bengals do. And you're going to ask me to come out here and say, oh, well, the Bengals are all of a sudden going to win more games than the Falcons have in a harder division? Yeah, no shot for me.
Yeah, I'm out.
Confidence, 10 out of 10. What about you? What are you thinking? 10 out of 10 on the Bengals under?
Oh yeah, pretty much. Maybe like a 9.8. 10 out of 10 is like that would be like my Texans under for me.
Listen, I'll admit if I'm wrong on this over under. Like the Bengals fans have already tore into us enough, but dude, if you guys don't win 7 games, I'm out for blood.
When you're looking at it, like looking at the history of like just like them reaching their over projected of wins is like when's the last time they done that, and why should I pick y'all now? And where the division looks a lot more dominant than it ever has, I can't do it. You haven't proven anything to me.
Did you guys expect Jamar Chase to go to the Bengals, or were you expecting them to draft a lineman?
I think it was like almost just a toss-up between Jamar Chase and Penei Sewell. I wasn't surprised. I don't think I would have done it, but the one thing is they did sign a tackle in free agency, Riley Reif from the Vikings. So I'm not surprised to see them pass up on a tackle just because they drafted Jonah Williams like 2 or 3 years ago, first-round tackle out of Alabama, who they like. And they picked up another tackle in free agency. So if you drafted Penei Sewell, someone had to get kicked inside, which is just a little wonky. I still think I would have done it, though. I'm a big proponent of your football team is only as good as your offensive and defensive line. And the Bengals have the weakest offensive and defensive line in the entire division. I don't really care about your skill players. You're just not going to win football games if you don't have a good offensive line. Like I compared it to the Falcons. The Falcons, when they made it to the Super Bowl, had one of the top offensive lines in football and an above average defense. All of a sudden, you lose those two things, and you can't even get a winning record. Like it's not really a hugely complicated formula.
Yeah, I mean, I had him locked in with Penei Sewell until of course, Joe Burrow was vouching to get Jamar Chase, and I think that played a huge part of it. And again, I'm not letting my rookie quarterback choose who I pick at the 5th pick. I think that's a little asinine. Like, I know it's kind of cool. It'll get in the media. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase reenact. But going forward, I don't think it really does much for this football team. I think Jamar Chase is an extremely talented player, and I think he'd probably have a great career in this league. But for like the Bengals going forward, I don't think it really solves what they needed to do.
All right, let's go into NFL futures though. Let's start doing some of the futures. We want to do Super Bowls?
Oh yeah.
Okay, here we go. Early Super Bowls. Man, I've been back and forth on a lot of the Super Bowl picks here. Last year, I felt that the AFC was a lot more set in stone than the NFC. This year, I think it has flopped. I think that right now, the NFC, there's a lot clearer of a picture of who's going to be in it and who's not versus the AFC. I think there's a good 8 or 9 teams that have a legitimate shot, and depending on how their season goes, could be a contender or be in or out of the playoffs. So I'm going to start off with my NFC Super Bowl team. I think right now the favorite is the Bucs, I'm assuming. Is that correct? The Bucs are the favorite. Mm-hmm. So I get. Let's just do it like NFC Championship into Super Bowl. Right now, my NFC Championship would be the Bucs against the Rams. I think the Bucs just because they have same roster returning. You have the GOAT. Like it's nothing really crazy there. But the Rams, dude. The more I look at the Rams, the more I truly believe that this team has what it takes to make a Super Bowl. If you look at like the main positions in football, especially in modern football that really make a difference, pass rush. They have one of the top pass rushes in the league last year, led by the man, the myth, the beast himself, Aaron Donald, who like can eat double teams for lunch. Like, you double team him and he's still favored. He's still just mauling people. Jalen Ramsey, one of the top corners at the second position you need to cover a number one. Jalen Ramsey's the top guy in the league to do it. Left tackle, Andrew Whitworth is still chugging, and when he still plays at an elite level, even though he's like 58 years old. And then you just picked up the quarterback. You picked up Matt Stafford, the elite level quarterback that this team has kind of been missing. Jared Goff, in that season they went to the Super Bowl, was playing at an elite level, but his play has definitely dropped off since then. Matt Stafford, easily one of the better quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion. When I watch the Lions all 22 back, this dude's legit. Great decision maker. He has some problems with interceptions, but now we get into the last important aspect, receivers. This team has great weapons on the outside. They just added Tutu Atwell. You still have Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. You still have Cam Akers for your running game. It really feels like the Rams, to me, are in that prime spot to make a run and be that team that challenges the Bucs for the NFC.
Yeah, I got the same matchup as you for pretty much the same reasons, but I would pick the Bucks to win that matchup and have the Bucks go to the Super Bowl again. And a big reason for me is like first, you got the GOAT, right? He's going to be back somewhere in like this high playoff caliber kind of play, but like, you return all 22, okay, to run it back one more time. You get the defense that was showing signs at the end of the season that they were in an elite defense that they can pick it up. So I think that confidence kind of carries into next season, and you see a defense that's able to take that next step the way they were playing during the Super Bowl run for me. And also just another year for Brady to really understand the system. I mean, it took the Bucks a while to get going in this offense, but once it got going, it was really tough to defend and stop them from scoring up points. I mean, I think Brady like sat out like after the first quarter against that Lions game because they put up 40 points in the first quarter. But I like this Bucks team. The NFC's between like three teams, and with Rodgers looking like it's gone, these are the two heavy favorites for me, and deservedly so because the roster is just better than anyone else in the NFC. But I like the Bucks to get that slight edge over the Rams.
What do you guys think about because I'm looking at the lines right now. The 49ers are actually have a better like better odds to win the championship than the Rams. So it goes Tampa Bay Buccaneers at plus 310, 49ers at plus 600, and then Rams at plus 650. Packers all the way at plus 850, and the rest are like basically jackpot. So what do you guys think about that?
So here's my problem with the Niners is that I think the Niners are still a good team and they got good coaching staff. But that defense, which is the defense that led them to the Super Bowl years ago, is just a shell of its former self, at least in my opinion. The D-backs aren't going to be as good as last year. You lost Richard Sherman. I mean, coming into the year, they had like 0 guys under contract. They got a few back, but it's really nothing crazy. D Ford, you don't have anymore because he kind of just died. So your pass, and even the other pass rushers, right? You had to replace that kid who went to the Colts. What's his name? Buckner, right? You had to replace him with Kinlaw, who's still good, but like their pass rush is good, but I feel like it's more trending down than trending up from those years ago. You still have good linebackers. Offense is still good. Like it's close. I truly do believe that the Rams are scarier, though. I think that the Rams are trending in the right direction. They showed what they could be last year, and to me, they've only gotten better as a football team. And McVay is still McVay. I think people have kind of forgotten about that. McVay is still one of the top coaches in the league. I mean, there was a point where he was like number 2 to Belichick, and now it's like, okay, well, maybe Shanahan's better, maybe this guy's better. I think that this is one of the best rosters that McVay has had entering a season, and it's going to be really scary to see what he can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, the secondary is a big thing for me. It's like you said, they had no one under contract coming this season. Then they signed back Jason Verrett, and now he's got to be a number 1 guy. I like Verrett as a 2 or a 3, but I'm not really sure if he can fulfill that number 1, especially in a division with a lot of great receivers. And also quarterback play is just a question mark for me. I know they're going to start the year off with Jimmy G, but if Jimmy G's not performing and they put in Trey Lance, my knock on Trey Lance was I don't think he's NFL ready. And then I have to trust either Trey Lance or Jimmy G trying to get me back to the NFC Championship at least this year. I'm not just big on that. I don't really see it.
Yeah, I think the 49ers are still a threat, but I
Yeah, I think
think
they're a
that
good
they're
team.
I think they're more of a threat in the conversation of like a tier 2 type of threat. I think that the three potential tier 1 teams, obviously the Rams and the Bucks, the Packers, if Aaron Rodgers is still there. If Aaron Rodgers is not there, then they're basically the Giants at this point. Um, Outside of those teams, it's like, okay, the Cardinals are good, but their coaching staff is not proven anywhere near as much as these other teams. On top of the fact that their defense, you talk about a team that lost its secondary, they completely lost their secondary. That was like the strength of that football team last year. And in my opinion, when I did that Cardinals analysis, the reason that they were a 500 team. So it's kind of tough to. We could see them be a playoff team, but they're in a tough division, and it's just like too many factors to not believe in. The Seahawks roster, we can all agree, probably just is not good enough to really be a huge threat. I mean, they couldn't beat the John Wolford Rams. Now we expect them to come out and beat at least what I think is a better Rams team that has now added Matthew Stafford. It's just not a bet I'm willing to make. The Giants, I think, are a legitimate threat, but their quarterback is so bad and is so unproven that you're just not over that hump. And you're not going to be over that hump unless Daniel Jones does a complete 180 or you just get someone who can actually play quarterback at an elite level. But you're not going to beat the GOAT with Daniel Jones at the helm, at least unless you get pretty damn lucky or play really freaking good football.
Yeah.
Who else would you say is a threat in the NFC?
It's really tough. I will say about the Seahawks though is that their defense couldn't, as a whole, couldn't be as worse as they were last year. Because that was a historically just really bad secondary. So they kind of figure out on the defensive end, which I think Pete Carroll would be able to do, and you get a hot Russ at the right time. I could see Russ kind of like just winning games out of his ass and kind of like pulling through. But then again, it's still tough to do that because just there's other teams with better rosters, and But I would like the Seahawks there. The G-Man, I'm with you on that. Just quarterback's the problem with me. I think the roster is very good. Defense is so underrated. Football team would have been a good one if they were just able to land like a middle of the pack or a top end quarterback for me. Like that defense is so elite, but I'm not trusting Ryan Fitzpatrick to lead that team to the Super Bowl. There's just no way that happens. Um, I would like the Saints if they had a quarterback. I'm not trusting Taysom Hill or even Jameis at this point. I still love. I don't love Sean Payton. I have to hate him, but like as a coach, he's like very elite
Yeah,
and
he's
great.
phenomenal.
And
But
like I
he
wouldn't
wasn't
count
able
them
to do
out.
it with better rosters though. That's the one problem I have with the Saints is that we're all of a sudden going to expect the Saints to be a better team than they've been in like all of the past seasons with a
Yeah,
much
yeah.
worse team that they weren't able to maneuver with. Real quick before we go to the AFC, Los Angeles Rams to make the playoffs at minus 182 on DraftKings, I think is a phenomenal get. As just like a quick little lock kind of a bet. I really like the Rams to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I would too. Anything under minus 200 there. And then like another like favorite team I saw is like the Cowboys have pretty good odds. Even though the Cowboys offense is going to put up points, I don't know if they're going to be able to stop anybody. I know they drafted a lot of rookies in that defense, but I'm not sure if that gets it done. And there's still a question mark for me. And then it's the whole is Zeke going to be back? And their offensive line is still not very at that elite level like it was a couple years ago. And also, you're betting on the Cowboys to make the Super Bowl, which is probably not going to happen since it hasn't happened in 30 years. And
Yeah, I'm not a huge Mike McCarthy guy. I don't hate him, but I'm not going to take him over these other teams with arguably better rosters and who I think are just better coaches. Um, yeah, that I'm not betting on the Cowboys to do anything. I wouldn't be surprised because that division sucks.
Oh, it's
But
terrible.
yeah, that's gonna be a no for me, dog. All right, let's move on to the AFC. AFC to me is just so competitive. There are like 9 teams that I think are legit, but I'll go with the teams that I really like. So you obviously have the Chiefs. You know, they're a great team. Then you have the Bills and Patriots, who I think are 2 playoff level teams. Those 3 AFC North teams that we were just talking about, the Ravens, Steelers, and Browns. And then I think the Titans and Colts are still legit. Okay, so that's 8 teams that I think are legitimate threats. People think that the Chargers could be a legitimate threat. I'm not betting on the Chargers. I'm not doing it. I've been, well, not that I've been burned. I've been fading them and it's been working, but yeah, you're gonna have to make me see it to believe it if you're winning more than 9 games. No shot there. So those are the 8 teams that I think are legit, and it is tough to decipher which one you really like. If I were to bet on the AFC Championship, I'll take the Chiefs because it's the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That second team, it's like it's between the Bills, the Ravens, and Patriots for me. I think those are the 3 teams that I really like for the AFC Championship. I'm kind of back on the Patriots here. I think that defense is just ridiculous, and offensively they still have an offensive line. But those are the teams. I'm kind of a believer in the Bills right now for the Super Bowl. They kept all the core pieces they needed. That defensive line got a lot better in the draft, and just kind of not playing the guys that they did at the beginning of the season last year. Um, Offensively, they kept everyone, and most importantly, their offensive coordinator Brian Dable, who I think is a top 3 OC in the league right now.
Yeah.
Um, Josh Allen's just getting better and better. You add Emmanuel Sanders to that receiving options, which is kind of what I thought the problem was in the playoffs last year. Cole Beasley was playing hurt. Stephon Diggs couldn't just carry everyone. You just kind of needed a third option, second option, and you get now Gabriel Davis, Emmanuel Sanders, and a healthy Cole Beasley. I'm really liking what the Bills are doing, and I think that they're going to be a dominant force in the league next year. I'll take them for the Super Bowl.
All right, I like that. I got the Chiefs as the counterpart easily. I mean, it's the Chiefs, but I'm sticking with my team. I think it's going to be the Browns. I like the Browns to get to the AFC Championship and beat the Chiefs. If they stay fully healthy, that roster is legit. It's deep. I mean, we talked about it early. I think this is the year they take the extra step, and you see them in the Super Bowl against the Bucs. Other than that, the other teams, I mean, I agree with you on the Bills can make a run, Chiefs, Ravens, Steelers. Also, I'm with you on the Pats just because of their defense, but also if Cam Newton does go down, right? Let's say Cam Newton does go down. I would willing to bet that Mac Jones can lead that Patriots team to a playoff berth easily.
No, I'm with you there. Even if Cam Newton isn't playing well, I think that he could do it. All right, so I'm gonna pick my Super Bowl here. I'm gonna go Bills. I'm gonna go Bills Rams with McVay getting a ring.
Okay, I got Browns versus Bucks, and the Browns do it. They get it done this year.
Man, you're taking the Browns to win it?
Yep.
I love it, dude. Every single segment we've had on the Browns, it's Browns are taking it. Browns are taking it. I mean, you didn't pick them for the Super Bowl last year, but you did pick them for the playoffs.
This is just the
They're a
next step.
force. That roster is nuts. Dan, who are you taking for a Super Bowl if you had to bet right now?
Dude, I really think it's gonna be a repeat. I really just don't see how the Bucks don't make it to the Super Bowl again. And dude, the Chiefs, like, you're not betting against the Chiefs. Like, you can't tell me that it's just the Chiefs are just too much of a force, dude. They're never out of games. You can't put them away. Their offense is just too good. They just put up too many points. They've come back in playoff games big before. Like, I don't know. You can't. I just can't go against Mahomes. It's just. But I just don't see how the Bucks wouldn't make the Super Bowl. I'm just not. I mean, the Rams, like, first year with a new quarterback. I mean, they have a stacked roster, but like, That's just not. I mean, you're going to talk about the GOAT with the same, like, literally bringing everyone back, like, including Antonio Brown, which I thought was like, all right, maybe at least they won't get Antonio Brown back. And if he comes back too, it's like, it's just too many weapons.
Everybody just wants to play with Brady.
Yeah, it's just too much. I think I'm gonna have to go repeat Bucks Chiefs.
See, the thing is that I have against the Bucks is that I really felt like if you got a team that was a little bit better than the Packers last year, just a little bit better, they beat the Bucks in that NFC Championship game. I think that's the problem because obviously they earned that Super Bowl and destroyed the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but the Washington football team, who didn't have a quarterback, played really well. They weren't really in the game, but they were around there. You kind of knew they weren't going to win it, but they were in the game. They played against a Saints team that was limping into the playoffs with Drew Brees, who had like 12 cracked ribs, who clearly wasn't himself in that football game, and it was still a close football game. And then you have that Packers game that was just that's the one game that I really feel like the Bucks did not deserve to win that football game. The Packers just really fucked that one up with their decisions and the execution of their offense a lot of that game. And the Super Bowl, they win it. It really feels like if the Bucks run into a stronger NFC in the playoffs, where there's a team that's really hot getting into the playoffs, that they might get knocked out. And whether that's the 49ers, the Rams, or someone new, I think we could see it, even though they are the favorite. And it's looking like, with the gang back together and Brady still going, that they can do it. But Brady, major knee surgery from Brady this offseason. Just throwing that out there.
Nah, he's good to go. He'll be ready. I'm not worried about Brady at all. It's just like, they hit their stride so late and they just look pretty dominant. And like now you got Brady a second year under the system where the quarterback historically quarterbacks play better in their second year once they figure out the system and learn it, and like learn how to like really take involved this playbook, and I think that's what you're gonna find here. And there's just so many weapons with Mike Evans, AB, Godwin. It's gonna be crazy, and I really don't see another NFC team right now topping them unless someone gets crazy hot or like something like that. I don't know, and for me, like it's just Matthew Stafford's really if that is the NFC Championship. I just don't know, since Matthew Stafford's never been put in that situation before in his life. I mean, he's 0-2 in playoffs. I understand he's playing for the Lions. It's a whole different kind of ball club, but it's hard for me to take him over the GOAT.
No, yeah, I think that the Rams
game.
are definitely a bold call for making the Super Bowl. But dude, I believe in McVay. I believe. I'm on the McVay train, baby. All right, what other futures and stuff do you guys want to talk about? We can go into MVP.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did conference winners.
Wait, let's go
Super
week one.
Bowl.
Let's go week one QBs real quick. Just knock those out.
Week one QBs. What does that mean?
So like Denver.
Oh
Broncos
yeah. Okay,
QB.
week one QBs. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
There's only 4.
All right, let me see if there's on here. All right, week one quarterbacks. Chicago Bears. Andy Dalton minus 250, Justin Fields plus 200, Nick Foles plus 1600. I actually think that there's a decent shot that Justin Fields could be the quarterback week one here, and I don't think Andy Dalton's a lock, even though they said he's the starter. And the main reason being, this is a team that just did not have a plan at quarterback. They just were kind of like, hey, we need a quarterback. And then they tried to trade for Russell Wilson, and then they tried to trade for this guy, and then they were in the running for Stafford probably and all this stuff. And then they're kind of just sitting there halfway through free agency like, well, fuck. I guess we'll pick up Andy Dalton, might as well. So then they just sign Andy Dalton. And then come the draft time, they're like, okay, well, we still want a quarterback, but we're picking at pick 20. So one's probably not going to be there. And then Justin Fields fell a little bit. They were able to trade up, and then they were able to get Justin Fields. So did they have a plan like some of these other teams that we're going to touch on? Fuck no. At least from an outsider's perspective, it does not seem like it. If Justin Fields goes in there and looks like the better quarterback, he will be playing week 1. If I'm Matt Nagy, at least. What, you're going to force Andy Dalton to play? Like, yeah, Andy Dalton should be the favorite, but if Justin Fields goes into training camp and looks sick, you're not playing him?
That's tough for me. I think Andy Dalton's kind of just a lot for week 1, unless like barring injury, like if Andy Dalton goes down, then you can start it. I don't think Nagy's going to rush Justin Fields into like anything, especially week 1. Now, like week 9 or 10, maybe you'll see him there, but I don't know. I get from the Bears. I look at it like when they drafted Trubisky, he didn't start right away. They started Glennon, and like it took a little bit from there. I think they would just kind of go with Andy Dalton, keep their promise to him as a starter. I just wouldn't. But that's me not being like sold on Justin Fields being day 1 starter. I think he needs time for development, and I hope the Bears would be able to see that. Unless he lights it up, I'm completely wrong and he just tears up the preseason.
Yeah, I don't think Justin Fields will start. I just don't think there's value taking Andy Dalton at minus 250. I don't think that the risk is worth just – I just don't think it's as much of a lock as minus 250 the odds you're getting is. Like, what's the point of taking that?
Yeah.
I'm probably staying away from this entirely, but Justin, I think there is potential value at Justin Fields at plus 200 right now. If you really believe in Justin Fields, which we really are not huge Justin Fields guys. All right, New England Patriots. Week 1, I'm taking Cam. I really doubt that Mac Jones comes in there and starts week 1. I think more so, not even if Mac Jones plays well or if Mac Jones should be the guy. Like Cam Newton at the beginning of the season last year looked like legit Cam Newton level. You get him second year in the system. He's a proven veteran. He works hard. He easily should be the starting quarterback because if you're the Patriots, you want to see if Cam Newton comes back at that level he was playing at the beginning of last season. Because if you get that Cam Newton to come out, you're a scary team.
Yeah, also I think Belichick's just going to play the guy he trusts. There's trust in Cam Newton. Not saying he doesn't trust Mac Jones, but Cam Newton does have that resume, I do think Cam Newton was brought back to be that bridge quarterback, but also you can win with Cam Newton, especially now with the Patriots looking like they have a much better roster than last season. I would have to bet on Cam Newton. What's the odds on that?
It's like minus 278. Yeah, it's pretty favored. All right, anything else to say on that? I think that's like a pretty lock kind of a pick. All right, New Orleans Saints. This is a wacky one.
Yeah,
James
that one's
Winston
good.
minus 200, Taysom Hill plus 145, Ian Book plus 3,300. This, to me, feels like a true quarterback battle.
Yeah, that is.
And that, to me, means if I'm going to take this, I'm taking Taysom Hill because I actually think Taysom Hill is a little bit better than people give him credit for. James Winston should be the favorite, but do not count out Taysom Hill, especially because he went in there, he looked all right. There were a couple things he needed to develop, and the dude is an absolute grinder. He's willing to do anything for that football team, and I think Sean Payton really likes him. So I would not be shocked at all if Taysom Hill comes out and is the week 1 starter.
Yeah, I get why Jameis is favorite. I thought Taysom Hill would get favored just because he got more playing time, and he's been on that team way much longer. I mean, he's got to be going into his 6th season on that team, I feel like. I feel like Taysom Hill's been there forever. But, I mean, I would agree with you. Honestly, you get plus money too. Yeah, I'd easily take Taysom Hill. He's starting week 1. Now, would he be the starter for the rest of the season? I'm not a true believer in that, but like – I just think like Sean Payton goes with guys he can trust, and Taysom Hill fits his system. He's going to trust that guy.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lock or anything like that, but Jameis Winston's going to come into camp as the number 1, but it's going to be a legit quarterback competition. There's no guarantees. It feels like from the reports that are coming out of New Orleans that any one of these guys can't be the starter week 1. And if one of these dudes is showing more than the others, they're going to get the nod. So I'll just take the guy that actually has value.
What about if you just sent Ian Book? You know,
Sent Ian Book at plus 3,300. Yeah, no
they
shot.
spent a fourth round pick on him, dude. Like, what if like he just kind of goes in there, lights it up a little bit, and they're like, Sean Payton's like, screw it, dude. He's the first rookie to start. That'd be crazy.
All right, last team, San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy G minus 278, Trey Lance plus 220, Josh Rosen plus 3,300, and Nate Sudfeld plus 4K. I'll take Jimmy G on this one pretty comfortably. That's really all that needs to be said.
Yeah.
This is comparing this to the Bears, the 49ers legitimately did have a plan, maybe not necessarily on who they were taking, but on what they were going to do with the guy that they took. Hey, we're going to keep Jimmy G. We won a Super Bowl with Jimmy G. It's just Jimmy G's career, the way he's been going. He was inconsistent last year. He was hurt. When he's playing, he's not a top guy. Hey, we're going to give him the run this year. We're going to have like Alex Smith with the Chiefs. I think they went exactly with that route, right? With the Chiefs and Alex Smith, hey, we're a playoff team. We can still make a run at this thing, but we've got a good quarterback that we're nurturing for when it's time. Hey, Alex Smith, we love you. You're a good guy, but you're just not that elite level quarterback that we're looking for long term. So I will easily take Jimmy Garoppolo here.
Yeah, and also like Shanahan just doesn't seem like the coach that would rush Trey Lance to anything, you know, especially week 1 like that. And I still believe like Trey Lance wasn't Kyle Shanahan's guy. I don't care what reports say. I truly believe it was Mac Jones still, but this is Jimmy G starting week 1. I'm not even sure if Trey Lance really plays that much next year or not. I know a lot of people have been saying though that he could start week 1, and I'm like, where's that at? He's only played 14 games in his career. Like,
yeah, that's going to be a no siree for me. Jimmy G, like the problem with Jimmy G is not, you know, whether or not he can win you football games. It's just he's just not a guy that's going to carry you and he's just not the most consistent quarterback, right? We saw it last year. He had that nagging ankle injury, and it really impacted his play. Whereas some of the other more franchise-level quarterbacks, for example, a Matt Stafford, even through a couple nicks and knocks a little bit, he's still going to be playing at an elite level. And that's why they traded up for Trey Lance, not to just shove him in there week 1 and say, hey, let's take a roster that is right now one of the top rosters in the NFC trying to compete for a Super Bowl and pin a rookie on winning it. Like, I was talking about this the other day. Like, has a rookie quarterback even ever won a Super Bowl? Joe Flacco, I know, had a pretty damn good season, and I know Ben Roethlisberger had a pretty damn good rookie season, but even if they have, it hasn't been recently. You know, it's just not really the way the news goes. So why are you going to start shoving a rookie quarterback in there over a proven veteran that got you to a Super Bowl 2 years ago? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Dan, in your opinion, what do you think the best line of those starting quarterbacks that you took? Actually, different question. Is there value in taking these like Cam Newton and Jimmy Garoppolo to start at minus 278? Or is that just kind of a bait?
I think it's like a bait because at the same time, it's like I would hammer Cam Newton, right? I mean, like I mean, if you really want to make money, you really gotta let it fly, a couple G's. But like, I mean, you're risking like he go into the season, the first game with an injury, and Cam Newton's out. There's just not enough value there to take that risk. Like, all right, Cam Newton, like they're gonna tailor the offense to him, which is obviously gonna be completely different than Mac Jones. So you can kind of feel safe, like if they're really gonna go in with Cam Newton, you know, are they really gonna do a switch up? You know what I mean? Like that's probably not gonna happen, I guess. But like, just Cam Newton and just the fact that he could just be injured or something or have some sort of issue going through week 1. I mean, at minus 320, you really have to lay down some serious money to make it worth your while, and it's just
not worth the risk.
Yeah, it's not really worth it.
So it's not even So you're saying that it's like the risk of injury is just higher than the cash that
Then
you're
then I'm
getting
willing to
paid
then I'm
out.
willing to pay for it. Yeah. I mean, if he was like a minus 200, it'd be more enticing. You know what I mean? Get 50% on your money. Makes sense. You know what I mean? You could lay down like $600, make 300
Hmm.
bucks back, or lay down like $800, make 400, 1,000 or 500. That kind of makes sense. It's probably the highest I'd go, like 1,000 or 500, because you gotta I always just take like the worst case scenario into account. You know what I mean? Like you go with an injury, you can't be like 5 grand down on, you know what I mean, to make 2,500. Well, it's gonna be less, but you know what I mean, like hypothetically. It's just,
Yeah.
you just looking at worst case scenario, and minus 320 is just, to me, is just way too steep.
All right, interesting. Because I didn't know if that was like a legitimate strat or not to try and find just these absolute locks and whether or not it's even worth it to hit them.
And you can't,
Um,
they don't let you parlay them, which is huge. If you could parlay them, if I could parlay Cam Newton and Garoppolo, you know what I mean? Like I'm slamming that, but like they don't let you for these specific preseason bets. So it's just straight up, it's just not really worth it, in my opinion. Too much risk.
all right. With that being said, that's interesting. So let's move on. What do we want to hit next? So there's like
MVP.
MVP, Offensive Rookie of the Year, all those ones we can
Yeah, let's go
do.
MVP, and then we'll go and let's go offense and defensive rookies of the rookie of the years.
All right, MVP. I am not a fan of picking MVP. I don't think I've ever hit an MVP bet.
They're
Um,
tough.
All right, if Rodgers goes to the Broncos, right, and just blows it away, are we looking at a possible back-to-back scenario here?
maybe, maybe.
It's just the new system would kind of throw me off,
So the one that I really like, and it's someone that we liked a lot last year, was Kyler Murray.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd probably be one of mine.
because at plus 2K, it's totally worth it. And he's a guy you get that infamous third year in the system that well not in the system, but third year in the league boom that we saw out of someone like Josh Allen. And on top of that, if he has that crazy rushing total and he's really flashy, that just kind of helps, right? We saw it with Lamar Jackson. If you're just super dynamic with the football, and Kyler Murray has insane level throwing talent, he just wasn't really able to put it all together for a large part of the season last year, especially at the beginning of the season. But if we finally get to see Kyler Murray put it together, it feels like if the Cardinals are going to do well and make the playoffs, it's going to be on his back, and that might be looked on really well in the MVP voters' eyes. The only problem I have with that is that I don't really see the Cardinals being a team that goes like 13-4 or like 14-3 on the back of Kyler Murray for him to get the MVP. Whereas, like Dan said with Rodgers can go out there, have a ridiculous season, and win like 14 or 15 games. And that just kind of
Yeah.
gives him the edge in the MVP votes.
See other guys.
See, Stafford. All right, what if the Rams end up being that team that you've been talking about in the NFC? You know what I'm saying? Against the Bucks, and really push it and really end up having a great season with Stafford. Do you think Stafford could make a run?
Yeah, I don't think his odds are good enough though.
1,500.
Like I just think that Kyler Murray at plus 2K is just kind of more worth it. The other problem I have with that is that I feel like the Rams are going to be set up to have a very well balanced offense with Cam Akers and that running ability of that football team. Because, I mean, we saw McVay with Gurley in that Super Bowl year. He would just feed the shit out of Gurley. If Cam Akers really is good and they're able to run block and their team is really well balanced, I wouldn't be surprised to see this team be a very balanced offense, which just doesn't really help you when you're trying to bolster stats in a super passing league.
I think an interesting pick might be Dak.
I was thinking Dak, honestly, just because you feel like
He's
with
gonna
Mike
throw.
McCarthy, they're just gonna drop back like 80 times a game.
Yeah,
Same
you're gonna
thing with
chuck
Josh
him.
Allen to a certain extent. Is that Josh Allen, the Bills, they're just going to say, hey, Josh Allen, just go chuck the pill. And he's going to have
Yeah,
the stats.
if Dak doesn't get hurt last year, he has a chance of getting 6,000 yards. I mean, I like no, he like literally did like he was throwing for 500 yards every game, and like if he gets back to that level, like or like somewhere around there, and he finishes the year with like 5,500 yards and 40 plus touchdowns, even if the Cowboys are not, like let's say the Cowboys just make the playoffs as a wild card team or go like 9-8, 10-7. And if Dak just has that stellar season, I think if it's just like some of the best numbers you've ever seen from a quarterback, just passing wise, I think they will just give it to him.
But see, here's one dude I want to mention that I actually might take just because I freaking love him. Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson's finally going to get that MVP.
It's never going to
Mr.
happen.
Unlimited.
It's never going to happen.
Dude, the thing is that now the Seahawks, like everyone knows the Seahawks roster is just Russell Wilson carry us. Just him and DK. Dude, if this team goes out there and just on the back of Russell Wilson just starts going crazy.
But the thing was, like, that's how it started off last year. He was the MVP favorite through those first 5 or 6 games because he was throwing 5 touchdowns after a while. Then it got to a point, Russell Wilson isn't God. And if you don't give him a good enough roster, he's going to even, like, take a little bit of a dip, in which it did, and it threw him out of the MVP conversation. And that's one thing.
He's just so good. He's so
he's really
ridiculously good.
He's really good, but it's just to be MVP, you have to have a good roster with you. It doesn't matter. Like Aaron Rodgers had Devontae Adams, like Matt Ryan had Julio Jones. Like it doesn't matter. Like Russ has DK and everything. He has the offensive weapons. It's just like Chris Carson's banged up, and I don't know, the O-line sucks.
I'm going to take Kyler again.
The guys – I wanted to. I'm going to take Dak, dude. Honestly, I think Dak could have got it done last year.
The thing is with Kyler is that you just have the flashiness advantage, which it helps, man. When you're just doing sick stuff, it's like with the Heisman, right? You have to have your Heisman moment. Like, dude, Kyler Murray's going to be juking people out of their shoes, doing these crazy throws. Like, he's going to have the flash. He just needs the stats and a good enough record to back it up. And in third year in the league, I think we're going to see him explode.
I mean, I like that pick. Favorite. I mean, Herbert would be interesting too. You get him at the same odds.
I just don't buy the Chargers, dude. I just don't. Well,
you do the second year quarterback thing. The second year quarterbacks were winning there for a couple of years in a row. Like
true.
You give it to old head and Aaron Rodgers last year, and now you go back to the second year quarterback and you give it to Herbert.
Herbert's interesting. Herbert and Kyler at plus 2K a pop is nice. I really like that value because MVP in general is an absolute shit show. Just a lottery ticket. Like, it's probably going to be one of these top guys, but all these top guys, it's almost luck to a certain extent. Like, there are seasons where Russell Wilson is putting up MVP numbers and he doesn't even get a vote. It's like, what the hell does this guy need to do? Does he literally need to turn water into wine to get a damn vote?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he really does.
Like, he's just carrying teams week in and week out. Every single game, he's just saving them. They're like, doesn't even get a vote. Fuck him. Okay, let's do Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's going to be a quarterback, right? Unless all these quarterbacks suck. Dude, Justin Jefferson had like the best rookie wide receiver season ever, and he did not win it. And then remember, even Zeke that one year, right? Did he win? He didn't even win Offensive Rookie of the Year. It was Dak. They gave him Offensive Player of the Year, right?
Yeah, it was something weird. It was some bullshit. These words, they don't make any sense.
Offensive Rookie of the Year is basically best rookie quarterback award. So who am I going to pick to be the best rookie quarterback? I might take Zach Wilson, honestly.
What? Are you serious?
Oh, I love Zach Wilson. I love Zach Wilson.
But bro, look at the Jets. Like, I was like looking at the Jets schedule. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I think 4 games is about all we're winning. Like,
Oh yeah, no, I agree, but that doesn't mean that Zach Wilson can't put up some good numbers.
it's true.
And the other thing too is that I feel like the Jets' offense is quite literally going to be Zach Wilson, carry us, please. And Trevor Lawrence is going to actually hand the ball off and have like a well-coached offense, which may actually help him. But dude, I like Zach Wilson a lot.
When you just look at these numbers, though, it's like I'm just looking at the lines, and it's like, all right, so you have Justin Fields, who might not even start. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we might not even see Justin Fields till towards the end of the season. The Trey Lance, he's probably not going to start either. So it's like Mac Jones, he's not going to start. So it's like, and these are like the favorites. So it's really, I mean, if it's got to be a quarterback, you're literally just looking at Trevor Lawrence
Two
against
guys.
Zach Wilson, and at like plus 270 at Trevor Lawrence versus plus 700 at Zach Wilson. I mean, you may as well take both of them at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would
Like, I
just
think-
I don't know, like.
So is there value? Hold on, real quick, Steve, because that's a good point. There is value taking both Wilson and Lawrence, just the two quarterbacks you know are starting day one, right? That's a legitimate strat.
I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. Yeah.
It's a little ballsy, but if we think that none of these other rookie quarterbacks are going to start early, like they have the stats advantage off the get-go.
Yeah, like, I mean, is an offensive rookie of the year really going to win playing like the second half of the season or the tail end? I don't know. That seems.
I mean, it could happen with a Herbert thing, but you'd need a doctor to puncture another lung or one of these guys to get hurt.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Burrow tore his ACL, and then Herbert really just kind of took off. I think it would have been a little close too if Burrow would have stayed healthy. Yeah, I mean, it's between those two guys.
I think it's really, I think it's got to be between those two guys, because then you're really just betting on, all right, like if you take a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance, you're like, all right, is my guy even gonna play? You know what I mean? That's like where you're at. You're so behind the 8 ball. It's like, am I even gonna have a chance? You know what I mean? Where it's like Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. I mean, you're live.
Yeah.
And then next up, you're gonna have like Kyle Pitts and Harris and Devonta Smith and Jamar Chase, but like realistically, I mean, these are plus 1,700. You know what I mean? These are like lottery tickets at this point. So I don't know.
How about Kellen Mond? Okay, so actually no, Saquon and Alvin Kamara won it 2018 and 2017. Todd Gurley won it. Odell won it. Eddie Lacy. It's just recently, the past 2 years, it's just been the quarterback. And I mean, last year,
do you really see Najee Harris or like Devonta Smith like having a rookie of the year season? Like, I just don't see that. Like, I don't know. I'm not sold.
I'll put my money on the quarterback. Like, it's just like from what we saw last year, the fact that Justin Jefferson didn't win it, it's just, why am I going to bet that? I'd rather take Najee Harris because, like, dude, they just hate the receivers. Like, if Zach Wilson or one of these guys who they're probably going to try and tailor the system to, because that's just kind of the meta nowadays. Like, dude, if Zach Wilson goes out there and puts up 3,800 yards, like, he's gonna probably win it. What does Najee Harris have to do? He legitimately has to go freaking crazy.
Yeah, but granted, like Justin Jefferson had a crazy year, but Justin Herbert did break the all-time rookie touchdown record too. It's not like he but
Justin Jefferson broke a whole bunch of records too. If we're playing the records for records game, they were pretty even on it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like, Justin Jefferson was legitimately like top 3, right? Or top 4, top 5 in receivers last year. Justin Herbert wasn't even top 5 in quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's just a quarterback-driven league. They're going to choose the quarterbacks over anything.
But at the same time, it's like, if you look at the schedules though for the Jets and the Jaguars, like the Jaguars, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like the Jaguars.
They get to play the Texans twice.
Yeah, they get to play the Texans twice. They get to play the Bengals early in the season. Like, they get some winnable games. When it comes to the Jets, it just seems like a very uphill battle going up against our old quarterback on the road. It's just like it might be too much, especially they're both on really bad teams, but like being on the Jets, I mean, having to play the Panthers on the road, then the Patriots, the Broncos, the Titans, the Patriots again. Like it just gets
Oh
the
yeah, you're
Bills.
right,
It just gets
dude.
you're gonna
It's
fall
tough.
behind, and the confidence is never gonna really build. I feel like for Zach Wilson, and like
The Patriots and the Dolphins twice is rough. Yeah, you know what? I'll take Trevor Lawrence plus 300. I'll take it. Trevor Lawrence, give me it.
Yeah,
Kyler
he's
Murray
looking
won
too
it
low.
not too long ago. Cam Newton won it. RG3 won it. I'll take the stud quarterback. I'm shocked, dude, that Andrew Luck didn't win it his year.
It's
I guess
RG3,
RG3
right?
just went crazy. So
Well, he had the
I'll take
rushing
Trevor Lawrence.
stats and everything.
Yeah, he had the flashy stuff. But I'll take Lawrence. Give me Lawrence. All right, let's go defensive rookie of the year. This one's really interesting. So Micah
This could be-
Parsons is the favorite.
Yeah.
See, I want to take a corner, but I feel like it is so hard to win defensive rookie of the year as a corner.
Corner. Yeah, no, I feel like you need to be a linebacker or a pass rusher.
I'm gonna look up the list. When is the last time a corner's even won defensive rookie of the year, and like how many
Yeah,
times recently?
Because, like,
Lattimore won it. Marcus Peters won it, and that's really it recently. That's it. And then those guys had legit insane seasons their rookie years.
yeah, you would need J.C. Horn to be a top 5 corner. Because I feel like you're about to say J.C. Horn, because I would too, like plus 1,400 odds. But
it's just so hard.
Yeah. Man.
I'm going to go. I really like Zaven Collins.
I think
Zaven Collins has the stuff to do it year one. I know they're starting middle linebacker. I can't. His name is escaping me in Arizona. They're Hicks. He wants to go. He wants to leave. They may have cut him already, but either that or they're going to trade him. So Zaven Collins apparently is going to be day one, the middle linebacker, a starting Mike linebacker, plus 1,200. This dude's got the instincts. I think he has the skill set, the tool set. I mean, Steed, you know, I was huge on Zaven Collins in the draft. I thought that this guy is like legitimately, you look at just defensive freaks, like this guy is good. You know, he's legit in all phases. I'll take Zaven Collins plus 1,200 as the starting Mike linebacker. I think he'll rack up tackles and have a couple of those big flashy plays to give him it.
I kind of like Jermaine Davis too. I like Owosu Koromoa to get plus 1,400. I think the only scary thing of taking Owosu Koromoa is like hard condition, but I'm not really like threatened by that. I mean, Owosu Koromoa is a playmaker for Notre Dame, and you put him on a defense where like it naturally makes plays. I think he could really evolve and become that outright winner. But then again, like it could just be Micah Parsons. Like it.
Yeah, it could.
He's a beast. He's in a defense where they need a linebacker, and he easily fills that hole, and he'll play all sides of the field.
Here's one guy. Here's a lottery ticket that I want to shout out, and that's Baron Browning, the new Broncos inside linebacker from Ohio State. I think that Baron Browning as a complete dart throw option for defensive rookie of the year could be all right. I think he'll play day one. He'll be at that Mike linebacker spot or one of those linebacker spots. So I'm thinking that he'll be in a position on a really talented defense to kind of just rack up tackles and rack up some stats. So he's someone that I would look at for defensive rookie of the year, for if you're looking for one of those lottery ticket, really good odds kind of guys. Especially because this year there really had, the past couple of seasons, there's been that stud pass rusher that's like, okay, well, day one, this guy's going to be an absolute monster. It was Chase Young last year and then Bosa the year before. You don't have that this year. So you're not going to have that dude that's already a fan favorite that's going to come in and just be an absolute beast day one. There are guys that definitely can, right? You have like Kwity Paye and Jalen Phillips who definitely have a shot, but that's also priced in to a certain extent. So as a potential dart throw, I like Baron Browning.
It's interesting.
A lot of these D-backs on this list are kind of just a bait, it feels like. Chaz Surratt could be interesting in Carolina. I think he's legit, but I think he's a little too raw. He was a freaking quarterback switching. So I think that's – I'll go with Zaven Collins 1, Jamin Davis 2, Baron Browning 3. That's my list. All right,
that.
Defensive Player of the Year. Who you guys thinking? Dan, real quick. Dan, who do you like for Defensive Rookie of the Year?
I don't have any take on Defensive Rookie of the Year. I like the dude. I don't know. I honestly like the corner that the Broncos took, but I don't know if he's gonna be able. I mean, is he gonna be able to win Rookie of the Year? Probably not. It's tough. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you. That's to me. I have absolutely no opinion on that.
What about Caleb Farley too? You talk about a guy that was legit. He'll get time year one. He's gonna have to be the guy if he's healthy, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, let's do defensive rookie or defensive player of the year. Any takes? Because I got a guy.
Go ahead with your guy, mine's loading.
TJ Watt. He's gonna get it this year.
It.
Dude's a monster. Give me TJ. He deserved it. Not deserved it. Aaron Donald's just insane, but I'll take TJ Watt.
I kind of like that.
A little bit of a homer pick, but
I mean, I still love Myles Garrett where he's at. Aaron Donald, of course. Chase Young. I mean, you're getting pretty good odds for Chase Young to really just come in and be an elite force. Maybe more of a dart throw, like Darius Leonard for the Colts. You know,
that's a good one. He is insane.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think that could be a pretty nasty pick.
I like that Darius Leonard shout a lot. Dan, what about you? You got any defensive player of the year guys that you like?
I'm not a big defensive guy, Z, so I really don't. I like your pick. I'm going with your pick, Frank. I like your pick.
All right, comeback player of the year. I know mine instantly. Saquon Barkley.
Oh, really? Is he the favorite? It's got to be Dak.
No,
right?
Dak is the favorite. I think Saquon Barkley is going to absolutely explode this year. I think the dude's going to go for like 2K yards, honestly. Giants' offensive line is finally where it needs to be. He's going to be coming back with vengeance, dude. Saquon Barkley, I feel like, is going to be a freaking monster.
Well, let's say this. If Dak Prescott's playing like an MVP level, is it possible for him to win both? Has that happened before? Like, I'm just curious. Like, if he's playing so good, you know what I mean? If he's playing – so – because it's kind of like you're basically betting that he's going to play really, really good, and it's like he'll fall short of MVP. You know what I mean? Like –
Well, did Peyton win that comeback player of the year and MVP that season he played for the Broncos?
I'm not sure.
Was that even his MVP year, that first year back?
Let's see. What year did he win the MVP?
2014, right?
I'm trying to look it up. I remember I tried to look this up before on a way earlier episode, and it just lied to me. 2013. Let's see if he won comeback player of the year. Okay, so he won comeback player of the year in 2012, but then MVP in 2013. Okay, so no, he did not. I guess that I'm not sure that's ever happened then, Dan. That's a good point.
I feel like they wouldn't do that. I feel like that's just they wouldn't double dip those awards. So
yeah. I'm taking Saquon.
CMC. I think I'm taking CMC over Saquon. I'm taking McCaffrey.
Jameis Winston. Any Jameis Winston truthers? Jameis Winston just starts chucking the pill for like 8,000 yards and 90 touchdowns with only like 25 picks this time.
What are the odds on that?
Plus 3,300.
That's not bad. That's honestly not a bad.
It's the same odds as Tebow.
Yeah, that's not a.
No way. No way.
I'm looking at it now. He has the same odds as Tebow.
No way he has the same odds as Tebow.
According to betting pros.
Tebow's not seeing any playing time, realistically, right?
No shot.
I don't think so, but yeah, I'm rooting for him. Dude, he has the same odds as Jameis Winston, And on this same sports book, his over-under on receiving yards for the season is 12.5 yards. How does that make any sense? His over-under is 12.5 yards.
What the heck?
Dude, he gets like 4 catches, and they're like, comeback player of the year. Fuck it. Like Tim Tebow.
You know who might be a decent dart throw for comeback player of the year is Derwin James.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Because you just get you get one of the best safeties in the league coming back, and if he's playing like at his defensive player of the year caliber, and like these other guys aren't performing as well, they could go him.
Okay, last one before we end it. We got like 4 minutes left. Coach of the year. Who are we taking coach of the year?
Ooh.
I'm going McVay. I'm a Rams truther now. I'm basically a Rams fan.
It makes sense. I'm kind of going with you there. That kind of makes sense. I think the Rams are going to emerge as the second NFC team. I'm with you.
Because I feel like with coach of the year, they'll give it to someone like if you change not that the Rams were a bad team last year. It's just they like made the playoffs on the last day. If they go out and get the 1 seed in the NFC, which I don't think is terribly out of the question, I think he's coach of the year.
Who won it again last year?
Was it that Dolphins guy, Brian Flores?
Was it Flores?
Let's see.
No, it was Stefanski. Of course, it was Stefanski.
Interesting. So yeah, you have to be a team that was like kind of trash or like just be insane. What about Belichick?
I was about to say
I'm taking Belichick. I'm taking Belichick.
I think Belichick has he even won the coach of the year?
I feel like they just don't give it to him a lot because they're like, listen, dude, like you've already got all the Super Bowls. What do you need coach of the year for? Like
he won in 2003, 07, 2010. So that makes sense.
He has to go undefeated.
Yeah, this is perfect because 2009 they missed the playoffs. Remember, because Brady got hurt, right? And then 2010 they go back to the playoffs, and then they give it to Belichick. You get the Patriots missing the playoffs, and then they get back to the playoffs this year. Then it's Belichick.
Exactly.
Belichick's easy money. I'm taking Belichick.
Plus 1,800. He's got the same odds as Arthur Smith. Dark horse too, Joe Judge. Just saying.
Yeah, Joe Judge could be a dark horse. I'm surprised they didn't give it to Ron Rivera last year.
Yeah, but
I thought he won it, but I don't know.
I thought Stefanski definitely deserved it.
Yeah.
Stefanski's the favorite. Like, no, has anyone ever two-peated coach of the year?
Because they base it off they based it off regular season success, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so like then it's kind of tough unless he goes, 17-0. Or like
he literally has to go freaking nuts.
Yeah, so I kind of like Belichick. You get him at the same odds as Arthur Smith. Like, the Patriots have a way better chance of making the playoffs than Arthur Smith. So it's
I really like Belichick. I think it's a great little pick. All right, well, that's all the probes. We got anything else to talk about? We've got like a minute and a half left, so we don't really have time. So I guess we'll end it here.
Oh, last one we didn't cover this for week 1 QB for the Broncos. Did we cover this? Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, or any other at plus 220? I just wanted to hear what I actually wanted.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, I think we skipped this one. I just wanted to hear quickly what you guys thought. Drew Lock at plus 145, Bridgewater at plus 145, so dead even, and then any other, I'm guessing, is just basically Aaron Rodgers at plus 220. I was just wondering what you guys thought about
I have no idea. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers is dead set on not playing, so I'll take any other.
Yeah, I'll take any other. Just say like the Broncos are the favorite. They get Rodgers.
Plus 220. Gotcha.
Screw it. Why not? Like, I'll take any other.
Rodgers is a guy like
they're the favorite.
Yeah, if Roger seems like a kind of guy too. He's got his mindset. He's going to follow through with it. So I just really find it hard for him to stay a Packer.
All right, well, that's going to do it from us here. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. If you're on the Twitch, hit us with a cheeky follow. Check out Dan. What's your? It's 4K Sports, right? 4K
4K
Sports
Sports
Clan.
Clan. Yep.
Yeah, check out Dan on Instagram, 4K Sports Clan. He has a lot of success on there. So you're interested in getting free picks or picks in general, hit his Instagram up. Our socials have been going crazy in the thing already, but thank you so much for listening and peace out.